Hi guys, Brooke here from Ledbetter Inc. Today I'm going to be showing you 4 of my favorite stretches, which I use for tight hip flexors. If you have a job like mine where you're sitting at hours at a time at a desk, this is perfect for you and will hopefully help alleviate some of that tightness and some of that pain. If you have any questions about any of these movements, please comment below and I will be sure to help you out. This first stretch that I'm going to be showing you is actually what not to do. This stretch is a very common one. However, many people do it incorrectly or at least perform it in a way that they aren't receiving the full benefits that they could be receiving from it. The problem with performing this stretch as demonstrated right now is that my core has zero engagement, which is the greatest problem and where most imbalances stem from. The last thing that you want to do is once again relax the core, which gets no activation during a seated movement. So instead of taking an overly exaggerated lunge and leaning your whole body into it, allowing your back to arch and your stomach to fall forward, take a lunge just until you reach a 90-degree angle and to where your knee is right above your ankle. From here, engage your core, flexing as if you were into a plank position. Your stomach should be so tight that if someone were to punch you in the stomach, you'd be just fine. Then, once your core is engaged, pull your pelvic girdle so that's as straight as possible, meaning that you do not want any arching of your back or your butt to be sticking out. Your glutes should be tucked, your core flexed, and your toe, knee, and shoulder should be aligned. Now you're ready for the stretch, although it shouldn't take much from here to actually feel it. Slowly lean into your front heel without losing that posture. You should feel a pull from the back leg's quad all the way into that oblique. This is stretching what is called the psoas muscle, which is often the greatest problem area with tight hips. You will notice in the video that I am using a step block in order to get an even deeper stretch. However, if you don't have this available to you, keep that front foot on the floor and that will do just fine as well. The next movement requires a little bit of balance and stabilization, holding that same 90-degree angled lunge, slowly reaching back for the opposite toe with the same side arm and allowing the free arm to help stabilize you by keeping it on the outside of the front knee. Again here, you want to keep your core tight, your glutes tucked, and your chest high. This stretch will feel similar to the first one, but you should feel it a little bit more down the entire quad of the back leg. You will want to hold each stretch for 30 seconds minimum, as this is how long it takes for what's called the Golgi tendon to stimulate and your muscle spindles to relax. I recommend 1 to 3 sets of 30-second holds. With this third stretch, there are a few different ways that it can be performed, although I do all 3 in order to really feel it in every area. The first way to do this stretch is by bending one leg in front of you, keeping the leg completely horizontal or at a 90-degree angle. Allow that back leg to relax as your focus should be keeping on that front foot in position. Lower your torso into that stretch as much as possible without letting that front foot come creeping in towards you. Your ankle should be in alignment with your knee on that front leg. You may not be able to get as low. As you can see, I'm still working on this too, but you should feel a good stretch in that front leg's hip. Again, try to relax. If you're too tense, you're defeating the entire purpose of the stretch. So if you need to, lighten up. The second way to do the stretch, which I always do after the first way, is laying the torso down with your elbows on the floor in front of you. You probably won't be able to keep the front foot as high in that 90-degree angle, but that is the goal. If you can't keep it up there though, don't stress. It's something to work up to. And the third way of doing this stretch is by sitting up nice and tall, not worrying about how high the front foot is, but really sitting into that hole. You will probably feel these last 2 ways of doing this particular stretch more in the glutes, but it's still hitting those hips really good. Don't forget to engage that core too. You really want to keep it flexed throughout the entire stretching session. This next stretch can be performed a couple of different ways. First, take a lunge forward into the same distance as you did for the first 2 stretches. Now you're going to keep your torso on the inside of your leg, keeping your hands on the ground and allowing that front hip to open up. Once you feel ready, lower yourself as much as possible. The goal is to have both elbows on the ground while keeping the front foot flat on the ground. If you can't quite get there, just get as low as you possibly can and hold it for at least 30 seconds. For this final stretch, place one foot behind your body, bending at the knee. Keep your legs as far apart as possible while keeping the front leg straight. Lay down on your elbow on the same side as the back leg. Hold for 30 seconds, then sit up nice and tall. The goal is to keep your hips as straight as possible so that both butt cheeks are flat on the floor. If you're not there yet, work on that by adjusting your hips as straight as possible before worrying about this next part. Once your hips are straight and the glutes are planted, lay forward as far as possible. I have seen some people lay completely with their torso flat on the ground on this, so that is the end goal. And there you have it. This is my complete hip stretch, which is followed by foam rolling. In total, to do both legs, it takes me roughly 20 minutes. However, you really can't overstretch or foam roll, so if you want to hold each stretch longer, go for it. If you have tight hips, implement this routine at the end of each leg day at very minimum, and they should be feeling much better with both time and consistency.